14 is the number, correct? Is that the all-time Ohio State figure, 14? I believe that's a number from 2004 and then equaled a few years ago.
That sounds right.
Would have been equaled in what, 2016 with Ezekiel Elliott and Joey Bosa and all those guys?
Yep, sounds right.
Can they
One
hit
shy
that
of the
number?
record.
What's the target number this weekend?
I think 15. Well,
15.
You want 16 because that would be the record for a 7-round draft.
But that would mean that
all by themselves.
Fryer or G. Scott Jr. got drafted, and it seems like a long shot that either one of those things are going to happen. But, stranger things can happen. Maybe Seattle in the 7th round, throws G a bone, or Fryer. It only takes one team to fall in love with Josh Fryer to take him. So, that would be what it would take to break the record. It seems they had 15 guys at the combine. So,
yeah, and even in the 7th round, you don't even have to fall in love. You just have to fall in like.
Yeah, it's not like you're counting on anybody in the 7th round to ever play a meaningful snap for you. So there you go.
Fall into like, or is it actually the lesser of 24 evils at that point?
Yeah,
when you're selecting players.
Exactly.
Well, who's coming off the board first? Is that pretty obvious?
Looks like Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle. CBS, their projections have him going somewhere between 16 and 25, I think. So seems like maybe he's the first one off. But, to me, I don't know. I like Emeka Buka, but kind of depends on what people need, and probably easier to find a wide receiver than it is to find, what you think might be a pretty good NFL caliber offensive tackle. I stopped to say whether he'd be the left tackle or the right tackle in the NFL, but he played left tackle at Ohio State for his last year and a half that he was able to play. So, a lot of people think it'll be Josh Simmons. Perhaps he's come back well from his injuries and tested out fine. And people believe he can come in and play right away, perhaps. Beyond that, maybe Jack Sawyer, late 1st round. I really don't know who else is getting a lot of 1st-round buzz out of this group.
And you wonder if Donovan Jackson can sneak in there, Tyleek Williams. I think right now the guy with the biggest buzz is Travion Henderson. I know he met with the Chiefs, who are looking maybe adding somebody in the late 1st. But he's a guy that continues to climb up the charts as people want to kind of do what Detroit did with Jahmyr Gibbs and compare him that way. And I think they grabbed him at like 10 or something, and Travion Henderson's not going to go that high, but you wonder if somebody might sneak in there and grab him late in the 1st, looking for that, just maybe that one last piece or the one complementary piece to your powerhouse running back. This is the guy that can maybe change the pace on you. I think with it's interesting. Like JT Tuimoloau was always going to be a 1st rounder until this year, and he's kind of drifted back. I think he's going to be fine, though. I don't know that not in the 1st round, but I think he'll be a quality player. I think Emeka just seems like such a safe pick to me that I do expect him to go later in the 1st. And the thing you remember, like Jackson Smith and Jigba went kind of late in the 1st, and Michael Thomas was a 2nd-round guy, and like there's even Santonio Holmes was, I think, a late 1st-round guy. So you can be really, really talented and still be a late 1st-round guy. There's no, or a 2nd-round guy. There's no you should be so ashamed. I am surprised that there are some receivers that are like seen as clearly ahead of him, whether it's Luther Burden or Matthew Golden, which I don't necessarily get, other than maybe his speed. And he's the guy that blows up because he's fast and then gets overdrafted and never really is able to do what you'd like a guy to do. I just think what you're going to get with the Emeka, and that's something that I don't think there's any risk there. He's just going to be a guy that can catch 50 to 80 to 90 balls a year for you, and however you choose to use him will also dictate how effective he's going to be in that role. It's similar to Jackson Smith and Jigba as a rookie. They just threw short stuff to him and he averaged like 9 or 10 yards a catch. And it's like, you're not getting the most out of him. You could be getting so much more out of him if you just look at him as something other than just a little slot receiver. He can do so much more for you. And I think the same thing with Emeka.
Bingo. I'm thinking that in 10 years, Emeka Egbuka is still in the NFL. At no point is anyone talking about him being anywhere close to one of the best receivers in the NFL or anything like that. He's not being lauded for his spectacular catches or spectacular plays, but he's churning out 50 or 60 catches every year. I just kind of forecast and see that type of NFL career for him.
Like a Keenan Allen, just constantly producing yards and catches, and nobody ever thinks about him or whatever, but everybody would like to have a guy just like him.
Run a great route, catch the ball, flip the ball to the official, go line up, run a great route, catch the ball, flip the ball to the official, go line up, run a great route, catch the ball, flip the ball to the official. That's going to be his career. I think
never be an issue off the field or in the locker room.
Yep.
And was also a really good kickoff returner early in his career before they took him off of that.
Yep. Obviously, this thing goes a lot deeper than just the guys who are going to potentially go Thursday night. They're talking about Friday, the second and third rounds. There could be 5, 6, 7 Ohio State players taken between the second and third rounds. Whoever those guys are that we mentioned that didn't go in the first round should go in the second. And then you're bringing into play some people like Cody Simon, Denzel Burke,
Jordan
Hancock.
I'm fascinated to see where Will Howard goes.
Will Howard to me is as you said, going to be really interesting. I think that the personal interviews that he would have done with any teams would have sold them probably on him. His Ohio State pro day, I think he completed his first 40 pass attempts against air, which was pretty ridiculous. And then, you look at what he did. He raised his level of play. And in the championship game against Notre Dame, hit his first 12, 13, 14 passes, whatever it was. So he's a guy that rises to the occasion, it feels like. And I don't know if it was on this show or one of the other ones, but the story, I think I mentioned this, is he throws that pick 6 against Penn State and came back in the huddle and said, let's don't do that again, and went right on about his business. Those things are going to happen, particularly in the NFL. So, you don't never want something like that to happen. Obviously, you'd really rather not deal with something like that. But, he's got the right frame of mind to come back from something. If there's a setback or something happens, he's going to go out there and handle it.
Have we heard any comps on these guys that are intriguing?
I have not necessarily, other than like the Travion Henderson, Jahmyr Gibbs thing, where it's a guy that can do something with in space as a pass catcher, and seems to fit like the KC type of let's just go all offense all the time and really stress the defense. So that's one there. In terms of any other comps, I don't know, Steve, if you've heard any. I think you could see like Jack Sawyer. One question I have with him is he an outside linebacker in a 3-4? Is he a defensive end in a 4-3? And I think depending on what you see there, you can comp him to an outside linebacker, a particular one, or a particular defensive end who's maybe a little bit smaller but can still handle the run.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I'm not sure who I would liken Howard to as a quarterback, other than to say, it's even unlikely he'd be somebody's backup this year. He'd probably be the third team guy, who runs the scout team and is on the taxi squad and gets elevated some week if one of the top 2 can't go. So, that to me, that's how most of these guys start out, unless you take them as a franchise quarterback. And I think it depends where they go too, and what the quarterback room looks like. wherever they end up, what stage of their career is the starter, what stage of their career is the backup, and you go from there. But it's very competitive to make an NFL franchise as a quarterback. I mean, there are, 3 times 32, only about 96 of those people walking the planet. So it's very difficult to crack that fraternity. But I think he's got a really good opportunity to do that. And I think that wherever he ends up, they're getting somebody who's a quality person and a pretty good football player, and eventually could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't see him walking in and starting anywhere day one. It's just too much to expect out of somebody.
Well, and what quarterbacks in this draft are going to do that? Is that just Cam Ward? Does somebody think Jackson Dart can do that as they trade back into the first round later on? I think with Will Howard, you've got somebody, like, whether he can start or not. Like I said this, I don't even know where I said this yesterday, but Craig Krenzel started 5 games as a freshman or as a rookie with the Bears because their quarterback situation was bad and there were injuries. And I think it was 3-2 in those 5 games. They were 5 of the ugliest games you ever saw, not just from a quarterback perspective, but that's how the Bears, I mean, you guys know. But
The Bears.
Somebody may be drafting Will Howard in the 2nd or 3rd round, planning to use him in 2026 or 2027, but you never know. I mean, ask Brock Purdy how plans go for you, and what, nobody was expecting him to need to start being the last pick in the 7th round. But if you're going to use a pick in the 2nd or 3rd, like, that's one of the decisions you've got to make, is like, we're using this, but we're not planning to use it. We're using the pick, but we're not planning to use the player. And so, would we be better off using this on somebody we're going to play, or would we be better off on using this on Will Howard and then playing him? Like, these are all decisions that have to be weighed. And I think he's going to pick up any offense you put him in just fine. But it's still, like, no rookie quarterback is ever, you shouldn't expect them to excel, especially if they're not an elite, freak of nature that the rare guys, and even the rare guys, will struggle at points. I mean, look at CJ Stroud. Was fantastic as a freshman, struggled a little bit as a second-year guy. Eventually, the league catches up with you, and then you have to adjust. And rookies, the league has already caught up with you. You're trying to catch up with the league.
That sounds like a comp to me, Brock Purdy. Size is pretty comparable, right? They're both mobile guys, but they're not Michael Vick. They do not have spectacular throwing arms, but certainly Brock Purdy has shown that he can throw all the throws that are necessary in the league.
Teammates love him, leaders, that whole thing. They've got the intangibles and the tangibles. There you go. Rookie of the year.
I like it.
I mean, I don't understand why he's not more highly sought after or not higher in the rankings than he is, because, I mean, he did everything Ohio State needed him to do. And sometimes he made, there are 2 plays a game that were like, what are you doing? But if I watch Miami, there are 5 times a game where I'm like, Cam Howard, what are you doing? But all of the other stuff that he does negates those things. Like, what are you doing running all the way to the left side of the field and throwing all the way to the right side of the field? What do what are you doing? But it's like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And NFL coaches are always like, I can change him. I can fashion like a desperate housewife. I can make him into what I need. I can fashion him into the man that I want him to be. And as we know, first round quarterbacks are as hit and miss as teams bat about 500. NFL franchises bat about 500 with those guys, if that.
Considering the best defense Cam Ward faced last year was Florida.
Probably.
Florida. Didn't play Clemson, didn't play SMU in their own conference. Florida. I guess it's Florida. That him making a zillion pirouettes in the pocket all the time.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that. I wanted to see that against a Texas defense, an Ohio State defense, even Notre Dame, even Penn State. Wanted to see Cam Ward against a good defense last year.
Well, I mean, you got to see him for a half against Iowa State in the bowl game. You got to see him lose a tough game at Syracuse. But I think there's a ton of ability there, and it's fun to watch. But I also think the times that aren't fun, like, good luck. I don't think he's Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is incredible. But I don't like any of these guys number one overall. I'll just say that. But I don't know that I like anybody in this draft number one overall.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels threw 1 million passes his final season at LSU and threw like 4 picks.
Yeah.
He had the entire offense on his back and still only threw 4 picks. There doesn't appear to be any kind of lean in terms of national championship quarterbacks. It seems to be kind of a roller coaster all over the chart. It's not like the old Heisman stigma or anything like that. You've got your Mac Joneses, but you got your Joe Burrows and your Jameis Winstons, Jalen Hurts from the last, Trevor Lawrence from the last 10 years. Maybe, if anything, they're on the positive side. Deshaun Watson, who, of course, despite some of his recent woes and miscalculations, obviously had a great start to his career.
Yeah, it was so great. One team gave him $300 million.
Yeah, he didn't even want to be there.
What? Way to bring the show down, Mark.
Yeah, I can't run the Cleveland Browns from here. It would be much easier to do better than what they're doing. But
the best reason to go from Saturday straight to Monday, the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, just take the Sundays out of my life. I don't give a crap. That's fine. Yeah, I'll just go straight from Saturday night to Monday morning. That's fine.
You can't have it all, Steve.
Where would you put it? If you had it all, where would you put it?
Storage, bigger house.
Yeah.
I do think I think there are some franchises that value the championship stuff more than others. I think they all should value it some. But I mean, look at the Eagles. They value Georgia, and some of these other programs they value the big time college programs. Urban Meyer did it at Jacksonville. It didn't work out for him, but it's interesting to see like what franchises value more than some others. Like, when the Bengals would back in the day would value like potential over being a good citizen. It's like, well, if there's a possibility this could turn out very, very good for us because he's a good player when he's not in jail. And let's see if we can just keep him out of jail, then we're headed to the Super Bowl.
I don't know. When the red flags are there, Steve, you can't ignore them.
Nope.
That's what you have to do.
I agree. I think this will be an interesting case study, this draft. I think just to understand what teams are looking for and what's important in this draft process, like what really is the driving factor. Is it productivity? Is it potential? What is it? I mean, it size, speed, what can it be?